What if I told you that the shape of our planet isn't just some boring scientific fact, but the key to understanding why airplanes don't fall out of the sky, why the sun doesn't crash into us every night, and why literally everything you take for granted about reality would work completely differently if Earth were flat? The truth is, if our planet were a giant disk floating in space, physics itself would have to be rewritten from scratch. Gravity would become an impossible nightmare, and you probably wouldn't be alive to ask the question. Hit that like if you've ever wondered how we actually know Earth is round, or if you've seen those viral videos claiming it's all a massive conspiracy. Because what you're about to discover won't just dismantle every flat Earth myth with pure science, but show you why reality is way more mind-blowing than any conspiracy theory. Here's the mind-bending thing most people never consider. If Earth were actually flat, gravity wouldn't work as we know it, period. Gravity pulls mass toward the center of mass of an object. On a sphere like our planet, that center is right in the middle. So no matter where you're standing on the surface, gravity pulls you straight down beneath your feet. But on a flat disk, the center of mass would be at the center of the disk. This means if you were standing at the edge of this supposed flat Earth, gravity would pull you at an angle toward the center of the disk, not straight down. Walking toward the edge would feel like climbing a steeper and steeper mountain. Water would flow violently toward the center, creating a massive ocean in the middle. And the atmosphere would collapse toward the center, leaving the edges like a deadly vacuum. Buildings would have to be constructed at weird angles to compensate. Trees would grow crooked, and basically all civilization would be impossible, except in a small central zone. Flat Earth models simply ignore this fundamental physics problem because they have no answer for it. Let's break down the observable proofs that anyone can verify without special equipment. Because evidence for a spherical Earth is literally everywhere if you know where to look. First, let's talk about ships disappearing over the horizon, something people have noticed for thousands of years. When a ship sails away from you toward the horizon, it doesn't get smaller until it becomes a dot and disappears. It vanishes from the bottom up. First, the hull sinks below the horizon, then the body of the ship, and finally, the sails or mast are the last thing you see. If Earth were flat, you'd watch the entire ship get uniformly smaller, no matter how good your binoculars or telescope were. This phenomenon only makes sense on a curved surface. Flat Earth proponents claim it's just perspective or atmospheric refraction, but careful experiments have shown time and again that these factors cannot explain the complete effect. You can literally watch this yourself at any coastline on a clear day. Then there's the phenomenon of time zones and how the sun illuminates different parts of Earth simultaneously. When it's noon in New York, it's midnight in Beijing. On a flat Earth model where the sun is a spotlight hovering over the disk, it would illuminate the entire disk at once, maybe brighter in some places than others, but everyone would see the sun all the time. There would be no real night, just dimmer areas. But that's not what we observe. We experience complete darkness, total night where the sun has disappeared completely below the horizon. The only way this works is if Earth is a rotating sphere, with half always facing the sun, while the other half is in shadow. Flat Earth models try to explain this by saying the sun acts like a spotlight that only illuminates parts of the disk, but this completely violates how light works. Sunlight spreads in all directions, doesn't behave like a focused laser beam. Now let's talk about something really fascinating that most people never consider. The different constellations you see depending on your hemisphere. If you fly from New York to Sydney, the stars in the night sky are completely different. In the northern hemisphere, you can see the North Star and constellations like the Big Dipper. In the southern hemisphere, you see the Southern Cross and completely different constellations. On a flat Earth model, everyone would be looking at the same dome of stars from different angles. But the same constellations should be visible everywhere, just in different positions in the sky. The reality that opposite hemispheres see completely different night skies only makes sense if Earth is a sphere where observers are different. Locations are looking in fundamentally different directions into space. Long-distance flights in the southern hemisphere are another demolishing proof against flat Earth. On standard flat Earth maps, the southern hemisphere is massively expanded because they're trying to stretch a spherical surface onto a flat circle. This would mean flights like Sydney to Johannesburg or Santiago to Sydney should take absolutely forever because the distances on these flat maps are massive. But in reality, these flights take the expected hours based on a spherical Earth model. A flight from Santiago to Sydney takes around 13 hours, covering approximately 11,000 kilometers. On a flat Earth map, that distance would easily be double or triple, requiring flight times of 25 to 30 hours. This isn't just a small discrepancy, it's massive evidence that flat Earth proponents simply cannot explain without claiming every airline pilot from every country is in on the conspiracy. Here's where it gets really wild. Let's talk about gravity again, but deeper. Isaac Newton proved mathematically that massive bodies naturally collapse into spheres due to their own gravity. When you have enough mass, say planet-sized, every part of that mass attracts every other part. The lowest energy, most stable configuration is a sphere because it's the shape where all the mass is as close as possible to the center of gravity. That's why every planet and star we observe in the universe is spherical. It's not coincidence or conspiracy, it's fundamental physics. For a flat Earth to exist, you'd need massive forces constantly counteracting gravity to maintain the disk shape, which would require impossible amounts of energy. Flat Earth proponents often claim gravity doesn't exist and it's just density or buoyancy. But this doesn't explain why objects accelerate downward at 9.8 meters per second squared, why planetary orbits work perfectly with Newton's and Einstein's gravitational equations, or literally any observation we make about how matter behaves. Satellite photography is another area where flat Earth believers claim massive conspiracy, saying all images of Earth from space are computer-generated or faked. But here's the reality. Multiple countries and private organizations have launched satellites and taken photographs of Earth. We're talking NASA, but also European ESA, Russian Roscosmos, Chinese CNSA, Indian ISRO, SpaceX, and dozens of others. Are all of them, including nations that are geopolitical rivals, coordinating a massive conspiracy to hide Earth's shape? It's absurd. Beyond that, you can track satellites yourself with amateur equipment. Ham radio operators bounce signals off satellites regularly. If satellites weren't actually orbiting a spherical Earth, GPS wouldn't work, satellite communications wouldn't work, and weather forecasting would be impossible. The entire system of modern technology depends on accurately understanding orbital physics, which only works on a spherical Earth. Let's push this into speculative territory that really shows why it matters. If Earth were flat, our entire understanding of physics would be fundamentally wrong, which means all the technology based on that physics shouldn't work. Rockets shouldn't reach space because the equations we use for orbital trajectories assume a spherical Earth. GPS satellites shouldn't work because their timing calculations correct for both special relativity from their motion and general relativity from being higher up in Earth's gravitational field effects that only makes sense on a spherical Earth with Newtonian gravity. Missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond shouldn't work because space navigation depends on understanding the gravitational curvatures of spherical bodies. The simple fact that your phone can tell you your exact location within meters anywhere on Earth is proof that we understand the physics correctly and that Earth is spherical. Within the next few decades, space tourism will become accessible to ordinary people. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic are already offering suborbital flights where you can see Earth's curvature with your own eyes. This won't be something only astronauts experience, it'll be something thousands, eventually millions of people personally verify. At that point, flat Earth theory will face its ultimate test, when ordinary people from all walks of life can literally see our planet's sphere from space. Some flat Earth proponents are already preparing excuses, claiming spacecraft windows are distorted or you'll experience some kind of hypnosis. But these claims will become increasingly desperate as direct observational evidence becomes undeniable. This changed how I view not just science, but critical thinking itself. Earth's shape isn't a matter of opinion or belief, it's a matter of observable evidence that anyone can verify with the right method. From ships disappearing over the horizon to time zones to the mathematics of satellite orbits, every piece of evidence points to the same conclusion. Earth is a sphere, and understanding why we know this helps us understand how science works, how to separate fact from fiction, and why the scientific method is the most powerful tool humanity has ever developed. Smash that subscribe button for more deep dives into the mysteries of the universe backed by real science. Drop in the comments what scientific myth you want us to debunk next, and share this with anyone who needs a reminder why evidence matters more than belief. Because understanding reality as it is, not as we want it to be, is the first step to building a better future for everyone.